The unsettling result, the consequence of the policy shifts in the UK's educational landscape, the impending closure of Carrdus School in Oxfordshire near Banbury, this independent prep school, cherished for nurturing children from 3 to 11 years old with an expansive 12-acre setting, stands as the first major institution forced to shut down mid-academic year because of Labour's budget measures. And the financial tremor begins with the imposition of the 20% VAT on private school fees, compounded by the elimination of business rate relief and an increase in employers' national insurance contributions. So it's not just one thing. And of course, that's the point. It's this double whammy of the 20% VAT plus the increase in employers' national insurance contributions. The fallout is unequivocal. Parents, many of whom are not affluent, but ambitious for their children's futures. And I used to have a little office in Banbury. I know Banbury well. I know the schools around Banbury well. And this is terribly sad because this was catering particularly for students who were either struggling or who had particular interests in particular areas which weren't really catered for in the traditional state school system. These parents are facing untenable costs. The school is facing untenable costs. In response, significant numbers have withdrawn their children from Carrdus, leaving the school teetering on the brink of closure by spring 2025 unless a lifeline is found. Fees at Carrdus range from $2,811 to $14,985 annually, with projections indicating a potential $3,000 surge to cover the new tax burdens. And such figures transcend financial inconvenience, fundamentally altering accessibility. It's crucial to recognise that over 100,000 families could be priced out of the education their children currently attend nationwide in such a sudden and speedy a mammoth change. And it's spiteful, it's unreasonable, it's unfair, it's got nothing to do with whether the parents are rich or poor. It's to do with imposing a change on education with a sledgehammer knee-jerk and ideological intent, which is based on some sort of perceived class warfare insensitivity. Many of the people that I knew who attended Carrdus School, I would describe as coming from working class families. The parents had scrimped and saved simply to help their children, particularly those children who could not be assessed on the SEND system because it takes so long, because it is so maddeningly stupid. If your child has a clear problem, as a parent you know, and yet then you have to go through this rigmarole for 2 years to assess your child as somehow failing, and then assume that the school your child currently attends will be able to provide additional resources to accommodate the SEND needs. It is nonsensical. And any parent would forego holidays just simply to give their children an adequate helping hand. How much do your holidays cost? £6,000, £7,000, £8,000. That is what these people are paying for an education at Carrdus, simply to secure that extra help. They're not taking holidays. They're quitting the extra car. They're putting all their money into help for their children. And then they're being sneered at and told that they are wealthy enough to afford it. This is a spiteful, nasty, vengeful class snobbery, which is unacceptable in the 21st century. The trend is not confined to the wealthy. As I say, it stretches into the aspirational middle and working class, whose sacrifices underpin their children's education. That is the reality. And the people who are going to be hurt by this are exactly that class of people. The people who are aspirational, the people who work hard, the people who sacrifice for their children, often because they didn't have that opportunity. Often because they have come into this country from another country, and they are determined that their children will thrive in a British environment. This echoes September's closure announcement of St Joseph's Preparatory School in Stoke-on-Trent. That happened before the announcement, citing similar pressures impacting working-class families. The statistics corroborate the exodus. Private school attendance dropped by 1.7% this September, equating to 10,540 fewer pupils through the Independent Schools Council. The economic reality for many parents already strained by the cost of living becomes unsustainable when educational costs increase by nearly £2,000 per year on average in the middle of a school year. The policy's defenders, including Chancellor Rachel Reeves, argue that the resultant funds earmarked for hiring 6,500 new state school teachers. It's not hiring 6,500 new state school teachers. This is a fantasy. It is advertising for 6,500 new state school teachers. If they were there, they would be hired. The state schools that I have taught in, I've been a supply teacher for a few years now. I don't do it now. I won't do it now. But I did it for a while, and I was always amazed how many classrooms were left without a teacher. And this wasn't because the teacher was sick. This was because the teacher had not been appointed. Shameful. This money which is being earmarked, it won't redress educational imbalances. Educational imbalances will only be addressed by reforming our educational system. Critics such as Councillor Eddie Reeves voice concern over unintended consequences, and Reeves, reflecting on her own transformative journey through independent education supported by scholarships, decries the policy as punitive. She benefited, disproportionately affecting those at the lower end of the income spectrum. More broadly, the closure signals the potential ripple effects on surrounding communities and the state sector. Local state schools may soon face surges in applications, pushing demand and potentially house prices in sought-after catchment areas. The social implications, where the education of SEND pupils particularly, often accommodated by independent schools, risks disruption and adds another layer of complexity, because these children are coming out of the private system and they still don't have that paperwork to identify them as SEND, as on the SEND scale. The fate of Carrdus School serves as a stark case study, emblematic of the deeper debate, the balance between equitable taxation and educational choice. Education should never be taxed. Health should never be taxed. The school's governors, in their poignant letter, underscored their commitment to minimising disruption for families. However, the closure is not merely an administrative inconvenience. It represents a profound shift in the accessibility of education in the UK. As we navigate this policy's practical fallout, and these two schools' closure are not going to be the only ones, it's essential to ask, at what cost do we seek fiscal parity? For the Carrdus community, the answer unfolds in a mosaic of displaced children, anxious parents, and a school that may soon be a cherished memory of what once was.